Hello, hello, good people. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Vaughn. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Um, Happy March to everybody. Happy birthday to all my March birthdays. I'm a March baby as well. So happy birthday. Down below, you can see the correct spelling of my name. You have my IG information, and you also have my Cash App information. If you like to bless a sister, then bless a sister. Okay. I'm just being silly. Also, the bob is bobbing today, all right? The bob is bobbing. Like one side's a little curlier than the other, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the curly. Okay, so this week, what happened this week? Number one celebration. Kristi Noem was fired. Fired. Now, if you missed the when she went in front of the oversight committee, and if you missed any of that, you missed a lot. You missed some fireworks. You missed some good stuff. Um, she was called out for her affair, not necessarily her affair, because apparently the whole administration is sleeping with one another. That's word on the street. I don't have any proof of that, but that's word on the street. Um, Sleeping with one another, but she was called out on basically deferring her position or power to her side piece because apparently Corey Lewandowski had been signing off on documents and ordering people around, and he had no real position. I think she said he was a on special assignment to the department. What the fuck does that mean? Special to her? But yeah, she was called out for the plane that she was having remodeled and having a bedroom, a boudoir for her and her boo, her side piece, put onto the plane. She was called out for the millions of dollars that she paid for allegedly, that she allegedly paid for um, these advertisements. You've seen the one with her and the horse and the cowboy hat and all that kind of stuff. That shit was on green screen. I don't know why no one, I guess because they're not from the industry, I don't know, but no one has called this out. You're not paying millions upon millions of dollars to do some green screen on the set shit. You're just not. So I don't know if you remember the other young lady who worked in her department. I believe she was a communications manager or strategist for DHS. And she had this really annoying voice. Her voice was like, like you scratching your nails on chalkboard. Well, it was her husband who was receiving the contracts for all this advertisement that Cosplay Kristi was doing, running around doing. So they were definitely keeping it all in the family. The wife got the job, he got the contracts. Millions of dollars were paid out for some bullshit. And I'm quite sure they all were pocketing that. Y'all, they're robbing us blind. They are robbing the taxpayers blind, if you haven't figured that shit out yet. So she was called out on the advertisements, the plane, her allowing her lover, her boo, to take over and sign off on things, and firing a pilot because he forgot her blankie on the plane, but then they had to rehire the pilot because nobody could fly them back to wherever they were coming from. And her husband, her husband was sitting right behind her, and you could tell his body language was 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 wild for a moment when they were bringing up the Lewandowski stuff. And then Representative Killmonger Dove, she just went straight for the jugular, and she just asked her, is she sleeping with him? And it wasn't, she's followed it up. Now we all know that it was to see what she would say, if she would admit to it or not on record. But the representative said it was more about her judgment. And look at all this poor judgment, just a series of poor judgment. Why should you be at the top of this department? So shortly after they wrapped up, I think these 2 days of questioning, she was fired. The felon fired her. I think just demoted and moved somewhere hidden. They're going to shuffle her around in the department. She's not like officially gone. And then he is trying to get, has not been appointed yet, but trying to or suggested Mark Wayne Mullen for this position. Now, what you need to know about Mark Wayne Mullen is he's probably going to be worse because he appears to be an even more less intelligent human being. He might not be the sociopath. Well, I don't know. They all seem to be sociopaths, but he might not be as bad or disconnected from empathy, compassion, devoid of emotion that Christy appears to be, the puppy killer appears to be. He might not be that, but he's dumb as hell. He's dumb as hell. So we'll see where that goes. We also saw Pamela Joe this week. Pamela Joe was subpoenaed. She's going to be coming in front of the oversight committee, and surprisingly, quite a few Republicans signed on to her being deposed. So now they're saying right now it's all about, this 3 million plus documents that still haven't been released. That's what they want to question her about. But we'll see what comes out because things have been popping on and popping off of the DOJ website. And what's that all about? And why do you still have the predators redacted? What is that? You redacted the predators, but you put the survivors' information out there, driver's licenses, former addresses, etc. They put some of that information out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing them question Pamela Joe and see how she reacts this time. Now, it will be just like Bill and Hillary Clinton. It will be behind closed doors. It will be recorded. It will be released, transcript and video released afterward. But she might not feel as compelled to put on the show that she put on the last time, like, totally ignoring the survivors and the Dow. She might not feel so inclined to do that because the cameras won't be there. She won't be, I guess, motivated to perform for the cameras, because that her boss expects a performance because he likes to be entertained. He likes to be entertained. And Christy wasn't doing that enough for him, so I guess that's why Christy got the can. Also, Christy blamed him, or Christy included him in the approval of those millions of dollars for the advertisement. She was probably telling the truth, but he didn't want his name in that. He didn't want his name said. Let me say that. He probably signed off on some shit, but he didn't want his name said. So I think that's really why she got demoted. She's not fired. She's somewhere in the department. Trust me, we're going to see her again. And then moving on. So right after Pamela Joe is subpoenaed to be deposed, the Department of Justice releases the transcript, the information about the 13-year-old, or the woman who was 13 years old at the time, who went to the FBI against the felon. So just magically appeared after Pamela Joe gets subpoenaed. I just find that interesting. So there's a lot more to it than what has been said thus far. Yes, she said that she was, I think she said she was somewhere 13, 14 years old. She was taken from the island, so she was already on the island, which more information about that, please. But she was taken from the island, brought to New York, kept between New York and New Jersey. And she talks about the one time that she was brought to the felon. And she said the felon didn't like her at first because he said she was too tomboyish. Then he took her in a room, or I'm sorry, they were in a room and he dismissed everybody else, made everyone else leave. And then he said, and I believe I read this one to you, this email to you before it was taken down, and now they put it back up. But now there's more information because this is the FBI's questioning. It's not just, partial. It's the 301 301 twos, 301-2s that the FBI, or 302s, that the survivors have been waiting for the FBI. So you can see the testimony that was given directly to the FBI. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So he has her in the room, and then he says, let me show you what little girls are supposed to either do or supposed to be like. But hold on. I'm going to read you this direct. Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be. This is what the felon said to her when she was 13 to 14 years old. And then he unzipped his pants and put her head down to his penis, and she bit the hell out of it. And then he struck her, I believe, slapped her or hit her in the head, is what she said, and said words to the effect of, get this little bitch the hell out of here. This is what she says about the felon specifically. Now, it goes on more. She talks about the abuse from Epstein. She also talks about the scare tactics that they were using to keep her and her mother from talking and ever speaking about this, being followed, being called. Her mother gets into a car accident, them trying to bribe the mother, all sorts of things. So please go and read it. It's been put back on the website. I'm going to see if I have the number here, but this is one of the FBI 301-2s. No, I just did a screenshot of this, guys. I'm sorry, I don't have the number, but you should be able to find it now. The full testimony that this individual gave. Okay, so that's there. And then let's talk a little bit about Texas and the primaries in Texas. And I know a lot of folks, I know I have some folks that follow me from Texas. Hey, my home state, well, by way of Indiana, that's the story for them. Well, it's not that long. I was raised in Texas, born in Indiana, live in California. Very short. Okay, so, but to my Texan folks, first I want to say be encouraged, because the turnout that you had for a primary election, when Texas has been consistently a non-voting state, was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And you'll have to repeat this in November. So don't lose anybody. Keep the momentum going and be encouraged that many people showed up in a primary election. Okay. Number two, the bullshit they did Dallas County dirty. They just did Dallas County dirty. The whole crashing of the system, rearranging voting locations. You had husbands and wives living in the same household that were sent to different locations. This is what I've been told happened in Dallas County. Are you bullshitting me? We have the same fucking address. So they mixed all that up. Then the website conveniently crashes when people are being turned away from different polling locations and trying to find out where they're supposed to go. And then they get there and the polls are closing. And then Crockett and her team go to a judge. A judge says, okay, we're going to extend the time because all this confusion and the site crashing from 7 to 9 p.m. And then you got Ken Paxton, who is on the ballot as well. So this was a conflict of interest. This is some shit he should have never been able to do. He goes to another judge and has another judge rescind what the previous judge did. So those ballots that were cast after 7 p.m., we still don't even know if they were counted. We don't know what happened. Or were they null and void or what? So that was a hot mess in Dallas County. Other things that I've heard from people on the ground is that they might have seen like maybe 1 or 2 commercials from Jasmine Crockett, but there was no on the ground game. There was no flyers in mailboxes, knocks at doors, etc. Now, we are in a technology age. So I get the focus on social media. I get the focus on maybe the few TV ads, but most people get their information via social media, just period. I would say folks, I don't know, maybe 60, 65 and below, maybe. But older voters are consistent. They consistently vote. Now you have a lot of young people that will show up. I said this to you during Kamala's campaign. I said to you, I hope these people aren't just showing up for the party and they don't, because they want to be part of everything that's going on. They want to, be at the rallies with all the entertainers with Beyonce and Kelly and who else? Little John. They wanted to be in the mix, but they didn't show up to vote. Some people didn't, or they flip flop. They still voted Republican, but they wanted to be down in the party. So I said, I hope this is not what we're seeing. So some of the complaints that are coming out of Texas, especially for, I would say from Gen X on up, is that her ground game was not great. Like we didn't see you, you didn't come here. There was no mail out, there was no knocks on the doors from your volunteers. There was nothing. We saw one commercial and that's it. Now, also you got to take into account she is a household name for a lot of folks, whether it's good or bad, because some people just love to hate Jasmine Crockett, but they do know her name. They do know her name. She's got that credit from when she was in the House of Representatives in the state of Texas, and they left. Do you remember that when they left to avoid that vote? And then she got voted into Congress, and she has been just a fiery, what I want to say, defender of democracy. She really, truly has. She's been putting in the work. So she's been very visible. People know her. Now, Tallarico, which I like both candidates. I want to make sure that that's clear. I like both candidates. And I said this about Tallarico before Jasmine even jumped into the game. Okay. Um, but Tallarico got a bump from the Colbert thing. So, first it came out that the FCC chair wasn't going to let the episode air because there had to be this balance of who they, gave time to, right? And then so Colbert took it streaming. So you were still able to see the Tellerico interview, but also just the conflict and the confusion and the focus that was drawn on it because the FCC chair, that's how Tellerico became the household name. So you probably have people that never heard his name when thinking about Tellerico. They knew Jasmine Crockett though, because she was already in Congress. But they didn't know he gets on Colbert, and this whole kerfuffle happens, and then it's streamed, and then people watch it. You probably have people from Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana, Kentucky, all calling their family in Texas, family and friends in Texas. Hey, I saw that Tellerico guy. I really like Tellerico. Are you voting for Tellerico? So again, I like both candidates. I do. I hope and I pray Tellerico does not turn out to be a John Fetterman. I hope and I pray. I hope and I pray they are not doing the okey doke on the state of Texas. But thus far, Tallerico has been consistent. So we'll see where this goes. But Tallerico, you gotta get out there and win over the Black vote. Now I know here's another point. Here's another point. Clearly, Tallerico got the Latino vote. And I believe Texas at this point is like 40% Latino. So he had Austin on lock. And that Austin, San Antonio area is a lot and has always been a heavily Latino area. And then, of course, Jasmine got higher numbers in Dallas County and she got higher numbers in Houston. But then you had all those rural areas. Okay. So, and you had El Paso, Tallerico, you got to get out there and get the Black vote. You got to get out there and get it because Texas needs to turn blue. You just, hell, I'll take purple. I'll take purple. But Tellerico, get out there and get the votes. Get the votes. Now that you were the candidate, get the votes. And I think that's all I had to say. Those were some of the key things. I'm gonna do a whole different episode on where we are in this Iran war that, the Republicans want to tell you it's not a war one day, and then you got the felons saying it is a war. So that's a whole episode by itself. So please watch that. But I just wanted to hit these other key points of things that happened this weekend. Stay tuned and stay safe, folks. Stay safe.